So in the previous two videos, we've talked about lists and figured out how they work in Python. So what I'm going to do now is just run you through another example of a more complicated version, and then we'll move on to a challenge. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use a concept we've used earlier, which is a meal in a cafe. So what I'm going to do is type in some code. I'm going to actually delete what we've got on the screen here because we don't need it anymore. And we're going to start typing menu equals two square brackets, which is an empty list. Then we do menu.append. Notice the square brackets, egg, spam, bacon like so. So that's our first entry, and I'm just going to copy the first part of this so I can copy it and paste it rather than type it each time. The next menu option is going to be egg, sausage, bacon. The next one is going to be egg and spam. Next one, egg, bacon, spam. Next one, egg, bacon, sausage, spam. Next one is going to be spam, bacon, sausage, and more spam. Oops. Then we're going to have two more here. Spam, egg, spam, spam, bacon, spam. And the last one we're going to have is spam, egg, sausage, spam. So first things first, you might be wondering, why is there so much spam in these meals? Well, the menu is actually taken from a Monty Python sketch. And if you want to search the internet for Monty Python spam sketch, and you can find out more about that. You can actually watch it on YouTube as well when you feel you need to take a break. So incidentally, that sketch is the reason we now refer to junk emails as spam. But anyway, so what we've done here is we've actually created the empty list as you saw on line 1. And we then went through and appended each of the meals to it. And of course, each of the meals, as you'll now see in square brackets, is actually a list in its own right, containing the details of that meal. So we can now actually print something out. We can type print menu. We actually run that. We can actually see the entries. So it's a little bit hard to see because it's actually menus within menus, but you can sort of see that there's the first one there on the screen. They're separated by a comma, and they've each got their own square brackets to indicate they're actually each a list in their own right. Now that we've actually got a list and we've got a lot of entries, we can actually start writing a for loop and actually testing to see how the in operator works. So we could do something like for meal in menu. Then we can put if not spam in meal, print meal. So if we actually run this, and I'll just comment out this first line here, just to remove the confusion. And what that should do, and what it actually does, is only shows the entry, which is on line 3, that doesn't contain spam. And again, each of the items on the menu are themselves lists. So the for loop here initially, for meal in menu, is going through and grabbing a list with each iteration. So the first time it goes through the for loop, the meal variable is set to the list, which is the first list in the list, so to speak. And from there, we can put if not spam in meal, and that's actually searching through that individual list, the list that, of course, is a sort of a sub-list of the major list, if that makes sense. And then we're actually determining if that wasn't in there, and then we're only printing out the contents if the word spam wasn't found as one of the list entries. So again, you can see that Python is extremely powerful, the way it's been designed and how it actually handles lists like this. Okay, so it's time for a challenge. What I'm going to do is go to the first line and paste in the challenge. And that should be without spam. So let's actually talk now what the challenge actually is all about. So what you need to do is add to the program below so that if it finds a meal without spam in it, that it then prints out each of the ingredients of the meal. At this stage, you can see that we've printed out everything, but you need to actually go through each individual item rather than just printing the entire list. So you'll need to set up the menu as we did in lines 5 to 13 there. So type that in to start with, and then you'll need to modify the for loop in some way, this code down here, so that it basically prints out each ingredient separately rather than just printing out just the list as it's currently doing. Okay, so pause the video, go away and actually see if you can come up with a solution to that When you're finished, come back and check my solution. Okay, so how did you get on? Did you figure it out? So we're actually on the right track here. We've actually got a lot of the code inbuilt already. So we've got the first loop, the outer loop, which is going through each meal that's in the menu list and grabbing that meal. So that needs to stay there. We also need to put the if not in there so that we only get the meals that haven't got spam in them. And we can print out this initial list. We can leave that in there like we're seeing on the screen. But what we then need to do is iterate through the list of entries in this particular meal and print those out. So to do that, we stay at this indentation level because we're only processing a meal if it doesn't contain spam. And we type in for ingredient in meal, colon, print ingredient. So that is literally it. So we are taking it to the next level. We're now actually going through the list from the meal. So the outer entry, the initial for loop, that was the master list, the list of all the menus, whereas the inner list for ingredient in meals is just, as you can see, it's actually the ingredients within a specific list. So if we actually run that now, we find we get the output egg, sausage, bacon, and we're getting that because there's only one entry in here that hasn't got spam. And then also we're then cycling through that list that we retrieved and actually printing out the individual items. So that's it. That's the challenge. I hope you did well with that, and I hope you've got a lot out of this section, and I'll see you in the next video.